Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Doug the Retirement Guy. We got a review of the YieldMax Weekly ETF Group #1. Who's the best? Who's got the best income? We share all the information. All of these dividends are hot off the press. They can still be bought as of today, November 11th, by the close of business day and still qualify to get these dividends. So let's get into today's video. And I do a shout out to all of our Patreon and YouTube subscribers. If you're not part of the channel, if you're not getting this information, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification. And best of all, if you're not part of our Patreon group, join. It's free. You would have gotten this information almost at 8 o'clock this morning. So just give you guys a heads up. If you join over there at the Patreon, you can sign up for free and get all the information ahead of time. Notice to all viewers, past performance does not guarantee future results. This information is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you're looking for financial advice, always contact a financial advisor. So let's take a look at the growth or the value of the funds. Now, as we look down the list here, CHPY was the #1 with a 0.59% growth this week. That gives them a year-to-date growth of 22.32%. The best overall fund that YieldMax puts out is the CHPY by performance. Now that can change day in, day out, hour by hour, but overall that's been the best performing fund that they currently have. You look at the rest of the list, everything else is in red. Everything has lost money. And this is why everyone says YieldMax is a NAV erosion company. They lose money across the board. The second one is SLTY, was up 0.39%, and QDTY, the NASDAQ 100 0 DTE call, was up 0.09%. Everything else, I hate to tell you, was dramatically, 1 to 3% drop for the week. Now, one of the big ones that a lot of people will be looking at is ULTY. That thing's hit a brand new low this morning of $4.61, and it just continues to drop. We're off 47% for the year to date. The 4-week moving average is at $4.99, and it's 30 cents below that. So you can see that it's really struggling right now. Let's take a look at the funds distributions. This is what we all invest into. We're all looking for those weekly dividends. We want the cash out. The #1 dividend this week was the QDTY at 66 cents, dramatically up from last week's 27 cents. Second place came in at SLTY, the ultra short option, SLTY. That one is actually up from last week, and this week it's 58 cents. Last week it was 54 cents. And then the third place comes at LFGY, the crypto industry and tech portfolio. I like that mix. It came at 50 cents, and last week was 55 cents, so it technically was down. But the big note that I got to put out there is ULTY. Went from 8 cents last week to the rock bottom that I have ever seen at 6.26 cents for the week. Now, I can give you a little positive because I am a positive person. They used 0 return of capital this week. So that 6.2 cents was purely off of premiums from option calls. So it kind of gives you a real core of that, how much they were making up previously. But you're down to the rock bottom of 6.2 cents. I told you this 3 weeks ago, I believe it's been, that I sold out my shares. I sold my ULTY shares, put my money into other avenues, and you can see why. It's just been a downward slope currently. We look at distribution yields. The #1 distribution, LFGY at 80.89%, SLTY at 80.85%, and FEAT, the Dorsey Wright Featured 5 Income ETF, at 78.10%. Not to kick a guy when he's down, but you can see ULTY has dropped their distributions, are now down to below 80%, and they're at 70.53% and dropping. Return of capital, really only two of them, and that was SLTY and CHPY, both used that 100% across the board. So funds return per week. Now this is the one that we've always used. I use it as a indicator what's going on, where you're basically taking your price of your shares, dividing into the dividend, and find out what percentage of your share price is coming back to you as a dividend. And this number has always been 1.5 to 1.63 is the baseline number, because ULTY was always that 1.63 category. And that's what we always said, that was the biggest and best income generator. Well, unfortunately, it's been dethroned, it's been kicked to the curb, and as you look right there in the red, it's down to 1.36. So not a very strong number across the board. When you look at SLTY and LFGY are back up to 1.56%. FEAT, the Dorsey Wright, at 1.5, and then of course QDTY at 1.45. Another notable that I put on there is YieldMax at 1.31%, paying out that 15-cent solid dividend. So it's kind of one of these situations that it's times is changing. Now, return on investment. This is how I buy majority of my funds. This is what we've always invested in, is how quickly can I get my money back. We always want to look at things that are under 1 year or less. Anything over that 1 year mark, you got to do some heavy research to find out how long it will take additional to get there. And you look at the YieldMax, the YieldMax funds, and everything is over 1 year. The best one that they have is going to be, unfortunately, ULTY, and that one's in such a downward slump. I would not be. It's not in my portfolio again. I'm going to stay out for a while until they really see some major changes around on that one. Now, what we've used now is that 4-week moving average of the dividend. So you can see ULTY is now down to 7.9 cents on that 4-week average dividend. So these numbers are a little more accurate, a little closer to the actual day-to-day scenarios. Number 2 comes in at LFGY, and number 3 is SLTY. So SLTY is actually showing some signs that it's doing, kind of replacing what ULTY was doing with doing all the short options versus the long options. So now the big number, the total return. This is a number that you always want to focus on. The great lessons to be learned here. If you just look at distributions, you're going to be told a wrong story. You have to look at total returns. So our number 1 is CHPY. The distributions, 41.01%. Add in the year-to-date growth of 22.32%. It gives you a total return of 63.33%. Very good, very nice number across the board on that one. But when we move down to the number 2 slot, is a prime example. Here is something that's showing an 80.89% distribution rate. Ultimately, the highest distribution rate from group number 1 from YieldMax. So we'd all say, yeah, that's a great number to work into. When you take a look at the year-to-date growth down to 27.96%, your total return is only 52.93%. Now, I know you're going to say, whoa, only 52? The point is you're looking at something that's paying you 80% distribution, but realistically, you're only collecting 52% from that number. So there's a 30% drop off in that category. We do the same thing with SLTY. 80.85% distribution, number 2 in the field, down 27.96% for a 52.89%. So this is why you don't always just look at distribution rates. You have to look at the total returns. And that gives you our top 3 funds. Now we look at The example of all examples, ULTY. That was generating 70.53% in distributions. It's lost 47% of its growth value. That's NAV loss. It's now down to 23.46%. Originally the king of kings, it was number one, is now basically down. There's only one fund less than them, and that is SDTY, the S&P 500 from them. They are at the bottom of the list already. So let's take a look at the funds that I'm going to be looking at, the things I will personally take a look at this week and study and see if we want to add or what do we want to do to our funds. And the first one will be CHPY because of that 63.33% return. I already own some CHPY. Question is, do I want to add to that portfolio and see if it mixes into me? SLTY, I've never bought SLTY, but with that 52.89%, it's time to start giving some real investigations into it. Same thing with FEAT, the Dorsey Wright. Not invested into that one as of yet, so we'll do some research this week. Return on investment, SLTY pops up 1.25 on that return on investment. And again, WiMAX. Do we need to put more money into WiMAX because it continues to pay off a decent 1.34%? These are things that are in my portfolio. Do your own research. This is what I look at, not any suggestions because I'm not a financial advisor. But these are the funds that I will be looking at for this week. And then I take a look at that dividend return. That dividend return, SLTY, is back up there at 1.56%. So it's a good income calculator. And it fits all three categories. So LTY will probably be my number one fund that I'll be doing research later on today to evaluate that fund. Will it work? Will it fit in my portfolio? And does it set the goals that I need to be? Same thing with LFGY and FEAT would probably be my second one that I'll look at and go from there. So guys, I hope this information helps you this week. I know YieldMax has been struggling. They're not the shining star that they were just how many months ago, 6-8 months ago. But these are the hardcore numbers that we work with. So let me know what you think. What do you think about YieldMax? Is it time to buy, time to get out, time to stay out? You tell me.
Thank you for watching. Press the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join. Leave any comments below and join our Patreon to support the channel. I'm Doug, the Retirement Guy.